At a time in history when despots ruled much of the world and when might was right, an amazing thing happened in first century Palestine. A king was born to an unmarried couple who were forced through political edicts to return to their ancestral home in Bethlehem. For Christians, the Christmas story is iconic, and for many reasons. God became a person, in itself an offense to people then, as it remains now. And he appeared as Saviour, the one who would rescue us from sin, a distasteful notion to others. But the quiet revolution birthed in a stable was important for another reason. This baby king was the bringer of unity in the midst of a world of division. Within days of his birth, he had become a magnet for poor shepherds, the lowest of the economic pile, and elite wealthy Eastern philosophers who could read the stars. And for good measure, 2 devout senior citizens joined the celebration. Well, no one knows precisely who the wise men were, but there is nothing in the story to tell us they were Jewish. Racial or religious difference was of no importance, because something about this baby had compelled them to bring their gifts, their respect, and their adoration. Before he was even able to speak, a sign was given that here was the Messiah who would cross divides, welcoming all as a symbol of tolerance. In fact, as we look at the Christmas epic, the only intolerant character is the despotic Herod, unable to cope with the thought of a very different type of king who might one day replace him. In this birth, which drew the poor and the rich, the frail and the strong, the Jew and the Gentile, we see the pattern for the rest of his life, typified by a gracious and welcoming tolerance of diversity, but with a forthright and outspoken intolerance of narrow-mindedness. He would walk with sinners, touch lepers, and mingle with the poor. Syrophoenician women and Roman centurions received help from him as much as did his own people, the Jews. But he was also disruptive and railed against the commercial exploiters in the temple and denounced the religious rulers who used the law as nothing more than a tool to exclude other people. In 2007, the Christmas story offers us a very relevant model for dealing with a very different and current set of circumstances. How do we embrace and worship Christ as God with us, but within the midst of a diverse and multiple belief communities mingling in a British culture still influenced by the legacy of Christian ideas? Every year, it seems, we encounter a kind of Herodian attitude which takes offense at the Christmas story and demonstrates a passionate intolerance to faith. There is an idea that a socialized society has no place for Christ at Christmas. Early this month, the journalist Christina O'Donnell was told that a speech she was due to give at the Royal Commonwealth Society Carol service was not appropriate because it could offend those in the church who were not Christians. Ironically, the subject of her speech was the tolerance of a secular society towards displays or professions of faith. It seems a view has taken hold that in a society of multiple beliefs and religions, Christmas has become something of an outdated offense in a tolerant world. But nothing could be further from the truth. As Trevor Phillips, chair of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, said in a recent speech, it's time to stop being daft about Christmas. It's fine, he said, to celebrate, and it's fine for Christ to be the star of the show. And his call was backed by leaders from other faiths. Britain has become a fulcrum of religious diversity. Our acceptance and welcome of those who do not think or look like us is surely to our credit. Even if we disagree with secular humanists, we can at least acknowledge their starting point, a genuine passion for including those on the margins of power and influence. We must resist the urge to react to any belittling of our belief or our intellect with aggression. We worship the Prince of Peace, who allowed his persecutors to murder him rather than buy into the game of an eye for an eye or insult for insult. But although people of other faiths may not bow down and worship Jesus, in the UK they have never attempted to prevent Christians from doing so. In a tolerant Britain which truly embraces diversity, freedom means the liberty to worship Christ as King. Christmas was never meant to be an imposition. It is an invitation to worship. And in a tolerant society, those who are free not to worship should avoid the Herodian tendency to make life difficult for those who do. Have a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.